Oh, we know how you like it. Raw and uncut with DJ Baker.
Go out there, man. Do your thing. All right, go get it.
Oh boy, let's go. You hear the BIGO boys, right? Let's go. I'm in a really good mood about this recam. You know what I mean? I'm feeling something good here. I haven't felt like this in a long time when I've looked at, a couple move forward on things. But I think that we've got two winning couples right now in the sex work world. You know what I'm saying? In that world. We got two real good, successful ones happening right now. One has been going on a little longer than the other. We'll talk about that in the next segment. But right now, let's talk about the new one, the newbies. The newbies being recam. So, I got the phone call, the alert. So Rico's on. Oh, what's going on? And so I said, well, let me go see what's happening. You know what I'm saying? They were saying, well, they're talking about their relationship with Cam and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, well, this is good, right? This is stuff you want to hear. And then he's on there with, I think his the administrator of the room, you know what I mean? And a couple of people asking questions about, their relationship. And he opens up very, candid about, he was talking about his, being taken care, being in a position where he's always moving and taking care of, Cam and his father. And not taking care of, like, they can't take care of themselves, even though he says his father is suffering from dementia, so technically he can't take care of himself. But he also talks about taking care of his man. It's also the first time that I've heard him talk about, Cam talk about how, he's about where he stands in the gay community. It was the first time he put his flag down and said, listen, I'm gay. I don't know about all that other stuff, all this other, but I like guys, And so I'm not going to be feminine or try to be nothing else to who I am. And that's why I said he's young. I told you this guy is young, right? And so this is really his first experience is really coming out. And I believe on this level, on the level of saying, I'm being out to the world. And that was through Graylin. We didn't know this kid before Graylin. And you think about how many times you were young and you was going out there and you was fishing around, trying to get yourself into a position where you've discovered yourself, you know who you are. And then you're like, what? Let me just see where I go. What happens? You go flying with the wind. He just so happened that, he was taken advantage of by somebody, even if he says, well, I was, such and such and such, whatever the case may be, right? So he gets out of that relationship and then he meets someone totally different. He meets Rico Pruitt, who we've been seeing grow up in front of our faces. Like, you know what I'm saying? We remember with him and all the tumultuous relationships. We don't need to go into those either. But I'm sure he's made his mistakes too. So they're both, admitting that, listen, we've made mistakes. We're accepting that. And said mostly the haters, that's what they're focused on. That's what he said. Most of the haters are focused on, Cam's past and, about the, looking at the certain, marks and stuff. And, how do you do that? Blah, blah, blah. Then you've got, people asking Cam, how many men your man has been with. He's been with bad men. He's been all dragged through the mud and all that. And so this is what I kept saying. Didn't I say the outsiders are going to be the problem? It's not going to be an inside thing. So he gave us a little bit more about what's going on inside. How, the cooking of the breakfast, how he's not a breakfast person. He eats a light breakfast, but a hard dinner. How they look out for each other. Like, he's very protective. Cam is, just knowing how hot-headed he is and meeting his brother and how that came out about. And even hearing Rico Pruitt talk about, Cam's love for his father, was something that you don't see or hear often. The vulnerability shown by both people in this relationship, has been eye-opening. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if people are paying attention to it because they're so waiting for the crescendo, the fights, and the drama. But what happens when it is no drama, and the drama is all about their love fights? You know what a love fight is, right? Where you're just bickering over just because you want to bicker at each other. You're not really mad at each other. You really don't. There's nothing behind it. You just want to bicker because it's a balance. You know what I mean? So you bicker a little bit about something stupid that you both know is stupid, and you both agreed without even knowing that you both agreed that this is stupid. And then once we're done, you know what I'm saying? We'll hug up and kiss and stuff. But even to hear that, Cameron was saying, I don't like the being held so much. He said, I'm trying to change. There's a lot of things he said I got to deal with, but he doesn't know where that comes from. But being held is a problem. Just hearing the depth of the time they spent together, the time they did a road trip. They're doing a road trip. They said that's coming up, a road trip, guys. Not for nothing, talking about, they explained some of the pictures and the first scenes and stuff that they took. And they even talked about the sex scenes that they did together already, and how a lot of people said they looked uncomfortable. And I think that I think they kind of understand that too, but because you're trying to realize where we're at here, how much are we going to be into this? And if our relationship is going to grow, do we have to pull away from this a bit, get ourselves together, and then we can come out and do, like a rollout? You know what I'm saying? Where it's more controlled. It's something that we're purposeful with instead of just flailing all over the place. And you know what I'm saying? This takes Cam into a whole different level, by the way. This takes Cam into a whole different level. And it shows that, no matter how hard or how young someone is, when they want to commit to something, they're just looking for the good thing to commit to, the good person to commit to. Someone that is going to care for them instead of drag them through the mud in order to make them prove something. We don't have to prove your love. You just have to accept the love. And that's the thing that Rico does. He accepts his love as is. There's something that he kept saying. You know what I'm saying? I just love him just the way he is. He doesn't understand how it makes me feel. I think he does understand how it makes you feel. And I think vice versa. I think you guys are very well in tune with each other. And this is the situation I'm talking about. They talked about anxiety. They talked about, the situations and just real life. You know what I'm saying? And so I wish this was a show. I wish there was a vehicle that would promote couples like this. Couples that are young. Even though there's maybe a 8-year difference between the two of them. I think there's an 8-year difference, or maybe even 9, maybe even 10-year difference. There might be a 10-year difference. Shout out to you, Rico Pruitt. Maybe that's why we have a thing in common, because there's a 12-year difference between, me and the mister. And I kind of see the same things he was going through that I was going through, in the sense of you were, hesitant at sometimes at the beginning because. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I just wanted to be friends. You know what I'm saying? And so there's a patience that you approached, you courted Cam with. You know what I'm saying? You courted him with patience, and I think that's what he was looking for, because the patience showed the love. The patience shows the appreciation. That is the love that people are looking for. And when you can appreciate somebody from a distance as a friend, then you get to the point where you're 17 years in with your best friend. And I'm not just talking me in the midst of it. There's another good friend, a hetero couple that, recently celebrated their anniversary, and it was 17 years also. And the word she used was my best friend. If I was ever to say anything, and I even remember telling my best friend this, is that, the reason why I probably don't call more is because, I'm living and loving my best friend, so it's hard, you know what I'm saying? And you're in a best friend competition. But it's just amazing that that's the key. And I think the more we see the keys in front of us, the more we experience the keys, we can still have fun. I still love a baddies. I still want to see that trail, that reunion. But I definitely think that we need to see a diversity of relationships. I think Recam is that relationship that I think we need. I hope that someone decides to put this into a show. I hope that somehow somebody with a lot of money and prestige and some great ability to get things done would just get to them. But we definitely here at the Mafia want to say a big shout out to Recam, both of them. All right, we want to send them. I'm sending them a bucket of edibles. Okay, bucket of edibles for them. Not for nothing, but this is the example. All right, I know we went over, but we need to discuss these type of relationships. There need to be more support for relationships like this. T.S. Madison's talking about it. You know what I'm saying? We got to look at the world differently. We can't be working at the world always through a dramatic lens. Sometimes things are going to be mundane. Sometimes love is mundane, and that's the love of it, that it's calm and peaceful and thoughtful and interesting and exciting through those conversations. You get excitement and you maybe even turned on, you know what I mean, through the conversations. I think a lot of people are demisexuals and they don't know it, but they won't know it unless we explore that. You know what I mean? Let me go. We're going to go. All right, listen. This is a good conversation. We'll continue, with the Recam. We'll see what happens. You know what I'm saying? But I'm really proud of those kids. I really am. Both of them. You know what I'm saying? I was impressed. I stayed a long time. I was like, wow,
Oh, we know how you like it. Raw and uncut with DJ Baker.
Go out there, man. Do your thing. All right, go get it.